Test. 1, 2, 3. What's up, folks? About to get started here. Appreciate the patience. I'm testing the system out a little bit, okay? Just doing a little bit of system testing, okay? A little testing. Bear with me a little bit here. Bear with me because I followed Bill's directions, okay? And that means it's going to work. I actually left out one little thing out of Bill's directions yesterday. And like all people who don't follow Bill's directions, you suffer. No audio. Liar. Liar, 𝒐𝒊. Or just muted. Maybe not liar. Just mistaken. Yes, we followed Bill's steps and everything looks fantastic, folks. Just give me one more second here. We're about to get going.
Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
𝒔𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on America's soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby. This is my show. Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lovely Wednesday. It's a lovely Wednesday when you follow Bill's directions. And it's working perfectly. It was all really our own fault. If only we listened to the Father. Anyways, the Father of the studio. Welcome, everybody. How you doing? No problem, 𝒐𝒊. I know you were just quick on the draw, quicker than you should have been. No biggie. Nice button down, says Chris. I'm looking like a couch on the camera, but I don't mind. What's up, everybody? I see you, D-Love. I see you, Rumble. Sorry, X, okay? Can't stream on X today, but no biggie. Maybe one day Elon will bestow me the studio tools that'll let me stream on X on Caster. But that's just the behind-the-scenes technical stuff. What is up? Welcome. I mean, we're going to get into a couple of things, you know, St. Paul, Minnesota, St. Paul City Council, big changes. People are saying it's historic. People are saying it's never been done, but I don't know. I feel like it's kind of been a certain way as long as I can remember. Ever since I've been around. They're saying it's historic. All-woman city council. I want to get into this a little bit. But it feels it's been quite female for a while. Don't you agree? Maybe you disagree. You could call in 888-775-3773. 1-888-775-3773. You try that number if you're international and you still want to call into the show. Talk to the host, the American Anchor Baby, about whatever you want to talk about. Let me pull up all my chats here. And I am on Twitch. Today I'm on Twitch. All right, folks. Bill, nobody listens. Bill, when nobody listens, but Jesse expects him to answer the biblical question. I'm trying to do the Bill face. Should have just listened. We should have listened. Anyways, we should have listened. We should be listening, they say. listening more, talking less, boys. Talking so much, and look at the mess the world is in. It's time to move aside. It's time to move out the way. It's the ladies' turn. Doesn't it feel? Did anybody agree with that? It's time for the ladies to give it a shot. It sure seems like there are many in the world who have just decided that, whether they vocalize it or not. I think spiritually, people are on one side or the other, even if they don't know it, I guess. But some have decided this, that it's time for the ladies to give it a shot, right? It's been boys ever since the beginning of time, and it's time to flip it around for the first time in history, for the first time ever. It's time to give the ladies a shot. I get 404 when typing American Anchor Baby. Oh, you know what? Before I get into my little thing here, I might as well let you know that I do have a Buy Me a Coffee now. buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. I believe it's live. I see it. So you know what? I have that going if you need it. I know many were asking me to do this. And I have a Buy Me a Coffee. buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. If you so wish to support, you can't always monetarily support. You could drop a like, subscribe, chat away. It helps with the algorithm. Leave a comment if you don't like what you're watching. Maybe you got problems. buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. And I think it works. Finally, says somebody. So I was saying, it feels like many have decided this change in guard, if you will. And they say it's like the first time in history, this big change. It's going to be, should we reorder society? Some don't even go this far, but you got to understand logical conclusions of things we're seeing. That if we reorder society and let ladies kind of handle most things in government and in many places, you know, they'll do a better job. They're kinder. They're not going to start wars, they say. Things like this. And that is the flavor or the sort of impression behind this kind of topic, is that it'll be the first time. It's never been done. And that up until pretty much just recently, up until the past 100 years, even less, the past 50 years, even less, some say that this has never happened, okay? And I guess I kind of want to demonstrate maybe how that's not quite true, in that when I look at just my life, there's always been equality, for example. Equality. Things have been equal as long as I can remember. But now we've come to find, if some of us have discovered, maybe some haven't, but that there is no such thing as equality. And so that whole thing is a lie. The whole time we were pretending to be equal, the man was usurped. And I want to get into some examples and kind of maybe demonstrate this a little bit. Because I guess the argument is it hasn't happened yet. Give them a chance. Look at the mess. But I think we're kind of living in it a little bit. And when we expand on this a little bit on the show, I think today, I think you'll also see that it's kind of been like this since the beginning of time. Sure, it wasn't overt. Men, always the stronger vessel, have always kind of at least been the face of the game, face of the business. But it's not always so. For the woman's power and comes in a different form. It's cunning, it's subversive. And man has been subverted since the beginning of time. Man has been weak to women, has had to forgive, has needed to overcome the woman since the beginning. Okay, kings have brought down to their knees by a queen. It's happened by women. So it's just the overt nature of the man being in the face of the business and all that. It just seems to be how nature orders it. It's almost evident. It's almost evident, and so it's taken that form. So in some ways it is historic in that there is a concerted effort to replace the Guard, to replace the government, to replace all these places that we're talking about. De facto. Wait, I'm probably using that wrong. Whichever one, de facto or de jure, but they want to make it reality instead of just like spiritually. You know what I mean? Solidifying it. So, rambling, but you following me a little bit here, I think. The plan is to actually solidify it. Because despite the future is female and all that, you know, men are still the majority in government and CEOs of businesses, etc. So the argument remains. So just a little bit, thoughts on the whole shebang. We're gonna get into it here, detailed. I want to show you this: St. Paul's historic all-women city council sworn in. You know, let's get into this. I want to show you this footage here. We got a little news report out of CARE 11, St. Paul's all-women city council. Let's see if we get some volume on this thing. That's right. I need to do a little bit of unmuting here, don't I? Where are you? Channel 15, unmuted. And we got audio. Let's go with the beautiful footage. We might need Lil Nick for this one. Lil Nick, what's going on over here? Oh, I should have clicked the fast transition. It would have popped. It would have popped nicer. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Minnesota, St. Paul. Here's the story.
Earned the nickname St. Paula tonight. In the last half hour, a new all-women city council took the oath of office. John Croman joins us live. John?
You know, just a few minutes ago, the concert hall stage here at the Ordway Center was bustling with people hugging and getting their pictures taken and taking that oath of office. It seems quiet now, but I will tell you, history was made on this stage earlier this afternoon. We're talking about that new all-female city council. 7 women under the age of 40, 6 identify as BIPOC. 4 newcomers are Nico.
Dang, sorry, he's going fast. I wanted to comment on some of this. So here they are. I mean, there's already plenty here.
History was made on this stage.
History was made, okay?
Earlier this afternoon.
And we already got some interesting characters here. It's all women, like you know already. So we got the first one here. Well, probably should get their names, huh? I know I have it here. City Council, St. Paul. You got this one with a documentary team. You got we got an artsy beanie. You know, that's the beanie of an artist, right? That's the beanie and the rimmed glasses of an artist, right? And the camera, she's got like a crew. She's got a whole crew. They're documenting this. You got to put it up on the socials. I mean, she's got an intelligent team, right? I mean, this is how you do it in the world now.
We're talking about that new.
We're talking about, he says,
female city council. 7 women under the age of 40.
You got them young, under the age of 40, out with these old, you know, they're just old and wrinkled. Like, it's time out with the old and with the new. That's a good thing, right?
6 identify as BIPOC.
They identify as IPOCs. He says 6 of them identify as BIPOC. Look, I know some of you are already saying this is how you destroy a society, make women lead, but it's like, how do we show that? How do we really show that? It's one thing to say it. It's one thing to, you know, women weren't created to lead. Like, those things are true. But it's almost like people have forgotten many things. This is myself, stuff I never really knew. I discovered recently. And how do we show them, right? How do we show people? Because we're seeing some results of it, and I want to get into it here. Have some examples and all that. Because it becomes kind of evident once it starts happening. Things kind of fall apart, and there's already evidence of that. But people are willing to let it go all the way before. People are willing to let planes fall out of the sky before we kind of start figuring this out. And so it's one thing to just see the women go like, okay, well, that's an issue. Here's a reason why it starts becoming a little bit clear, okay? They identify as BIPOC. What happens is women, very often, they kind of go along with these identities and they feel bad for people and they always care about the minority, the least of us, but in a corrupt way. In a corrupt way where it doesn't actually help the least of us. And when someone identifies as BIPOC, you got to understand, they're already telling you a lot about themselves. BIPOC is a person who's a confused person who has lumped themselves in with, if you don't know, BIPOC stands for Black and Indigenous Person of Color. This is a confused person who's been told by academia a whole bunch of strange things, and they now lump themselves in with a whole bunch of people who don't necessarily agree with them. The only thing that unifies them is their distaste and really anger towards white people. That's why they call themselves POC. They call themselves BIPOC. It tells you a lot already just from that. 7 of them identify, 6 of them or whatever, identify as BIPOC. And it just goes by fast, right? But we kind of have to remember what these things really mean. Wow, Frederick coming in strong with the super chat. Shout out to the American Acre Baby, sir. Thank you. No, thank you. That's deep. Right on, sir. I appreciate that. Nick is eating good tonight. This is your show now, Frederick. Where are we flying this Friday, sir? As far as I'm concerned, we'll take the plane wherever you want. That's awesome. Thank you for that. BIPOC. They call themselves BIPOC. I'll return to my super chats here, but let me continue here. It's clear that the criteria is women, not merit. You already know that one. But it's a dangerous road we're going down. So let's continue here. There's some interesting stuff.
4 newcomers are Nico Bowie, Sarah Jost, Wajong Kim, and Shaniqua Johnson. Today, by taking the oath, they officially joined incumbents Rebecca Naker, Nelsie Yang, and
Oh, I missed something there. What the heck is this? Why is everybody in garb? Is that racist? Is that wrong? Is it just not everything that's strange to you, Nick, is garb? What does that even mean, Bill? Garb is just clothes, right? What's up, Bill?
Age of 40, 6 identify as BIPOC. 4 newcomers are Nico Bowie.
Okay, she doesn't have an entourage. This one's
Sarah
all
Jost,
up.
Wajong
I don't know, look
Kim.
at me in my beautiful, red dress. It looks very BIPOC. It looks quite BIPOC, I'll admit that. This one's very BIPOC looking. Although, I don't know, is that Asian? I guess Asian fits in BIPOC too, Black and Indigenous Person of Color. But look at this. That doesn't look American. Doesn't look like is that a native? Is that a St. Paul native I see? Dang. Bill, that's the garb of a St. Paul native, right?
Shaniqua Johnson.
I don't know what she's wearing.
By taking the oath, they officially...
This one's wearing something too, although it seems a little bit more normal. But when you see who she's standing beside, it's also too doesn't look quite American. Doesn't seem American. Doesn't look like it's... doesn't look like it bears some kind of Southern lineage or other kind of Black lineage. What the heck am I talking about, okay? I may be inaccurate, but you're following me here somewhat.
Joined incumbents Rebecca Naker, Nelsie Yang, and Mitra Jalali. This lineup, 7 progressive Democrats, will take charge a full 68 years.
When you go to a city council thing like this, to tell the city, look at me, look at the people, look at who you voted for. And it becomes this whole like, look at me and my dress and my indigenous thing and my culture and blah, blah, blah. Kind of loses the whole point here. I thought this is for the city of St. Paul and you're here to do a good job. I get it. It's like, oh, this is me, right? This is me. But I don't know. I personally don't think that's who we are. Just saying, right?
After the first woman was elected to the council here in the capital city.
This community is what this is all about.
Check it out. Check it out.
We are so lucky to live in this time and place and in this city and in community with one another. A whole lot of people.
So it really is a huge ego trip. You see this? She thinks that they've already accomplished something by simply being women. Like, I get it. They're saying it's historic. It's new. Don't you got to do a little proving here? Show us that that's a good thing. It seems like a lot of assumption, right? Ladies, you got to do, got to bring the goods, okay? St. Paul's a mess, no? Anybody know if St. Paul's a mess? Or am I just assuming because it's in Minnesota? Or am I thinking of another city? I might be thinking of, like, Minneapolis or something. Anyways, look. They think they already did something. Just from being women, okay? That's not a good sign, okay? I'm not trying to be, oh, you're just the boys. The boys don't want the girls to have something. Oh, you just I hope it's clear that this is just simply not what a city needs. I hope that's just clear to you.
We are so lucky to live in this time and place and in this city and in community with one another. A whole lot of people who were comfortable with majority male, majority white institutions for nearly 170 years of city history are suddenly sharply concerned about representation. My thoughts and prayers are with them in this challenging time.
Very funny, very funny. Okay, listen, it's just showing us, you're just showing us you got this chip on your shoulder. Angry people with a chip on your shoulder. That's not how you lead a place. That's not how you lead somewhere. But look at all these people cheering away. I mean, who knows who these people are that are cheering? But a total chip on her shoulder. Doesn't seem like do we get to, look, you want to do this, Minnesota, St. Paul? You want to do this? All right, that's one thing. That's fine. But we get to, in a fair world, where we know it's not, but if it was, we get to, when things kind of go wrong or whatever, we get to say, well, guess what? The all-women city council was a mistake. And now we get to maybe have a real conversation about the role of women in politics and the role of women in general. Of course, that deals with men too. Don't get all up in a bunch. But okay. Yeah, we get to, in a fair world, we would get to respond, don't you think? To tell them, all right, you had your fun. Like the IDF, who put women in combat. I swear this was like a big thing a long time ago. I keep trying to find it. It just came to me. I remember this report that was shared a whole bunch when women in combat was brought up, where the IDF tried that, the Israeli Defense Force, and they were like, dang, guess what? It doesn't work, world. Anyways. Now they're saying this female squads are eliminating nearly 100 Hamas terrorists. I don't know, whatever. Neither here nor there. Billy, before you go, can you point that fan straight on me? The anchor baby's melting. Oh, yeah, the Vornado. Folks, we have the fan. I'm back to life. A little bit higher. Just a touch. Sorry, folks. Just bear with me. There it is, right there. Life in the form of the wind, of moving air. Okay, all female St. Paul. Okay, I'm showing you this. It's clear the criteria is women, not merit. That's in itself. That sentence should tell. That sentence has it all there, right? I mean, that statement. Man, it's definitely not Christian. You know, this whole Rick Warren thing. I heard about it on the Hake Report. Definitely want to check them out. And Joel, great shows today. Rick Warren, a Christian man, expressing his regret on 53 years of ministry, basically saying women should be in a leadership role in the church. And his public apologies to every good woman in his life, a ministry that failed. It grieves me that he hindered them in obeying the Great Commission command, whatever the heck that is. That everyone is to teach in church. It's not about teaching. It's like not even men teach, if you really think about it. That word is misused, okay? Anyways. So yeah, I mean, we're going to get into some more examples too, obviously. In the effects we're already seeing with where women dominate or are put in a leadership role. And there's going to be, I'll have some examples for you and all that, but I mean, that really falls on deaf ears a lot of the time. People, I guess, just have to see it. People have to really see it and really forgive. Because I don't know if I would have seen it if I didn't forgive. My mother was a very decent woman. She wasn't like mean or anything. She was very nice. Some of the worst, as we know. So I had to really just see the anger in myself. And it's just like instant. I could see that it came from the woman. That it's a womanly spirit in me. It's not my natural nature. I was not meant to be so offended or to be emotional. Another sign men might relate with, men might relate to this, but another sign that you know this is true is when you are weak to the woman, and men know this. Men know what I'm talking about, where it doesn't matter what you earn or what you learn or what you do. You find yourself weak to the woman in various ways. You may not even realize it. You'll be like in a relationship for years and it goes bad. Maybe it's a marriage and it's something. You realize, I'm subject to her. I can't be honest. I can't be myself. And I think men understand that, can relate to that and see this play out like their whole lives. So the thing is we were told that that's equality, and there's no such thing. There's no such thing. I see the calls coming in, 888-775-3773. I'll get to you. But where was I? So there's some evidence. Kind of becomes evident in your life if you pay attention, but you can't always just go around proving it. Stats won't really do it. So I guess I won't even try there. But I want to kind of make another point here, is this whole historic thing. They say it's the first time. Here's an image of the previous city council. I'm pretty sure this is the previous city council. I think I've confirmed it with this article from Twin Cities about the 4 St. Paul city council members saying goodbye. This ad just popped up. And I'm pretty sure that here's my confirmation. Here's that woman, one of these ladies from the previous city council. I mean, when you look at the previous city council, this short-haired woman seems, in most of these pictures, the city council that came before this all-women one, this short-haired lady is always in the middle. I don't know. It looks like she leads, but who knows? That's probably not how a city council works, right? They have equal responsibilities. And it looks like already kind of pretty female. The whole thing is like historic. It's just happening. It's really just happening, folks. But this is just from 2022, the City Council of St. Paul. That's really recent, but this is just a tiny example of what I'm trying to say is that I really can't say that it's fair to say that it's really just happening. Because things have been equal as far as I can remember. Things have been quote unquote equal ever since I've been around this planet. Or plain, whatever you think. And like I was saying, there's no such thing as equality. The whole thing was a ruse. And when you look at equal households, equal relationships, equal governments, it never is quite equal for those of us in the know. It's quite female. It has just the spirit, the vibe, the impression of a female-minded, dominated kind of cabinet, school board, even household, okay? And so when I say it's been equal as long as I can remember, it really hasn't been equal. It means men have been subject to the woman as long as I can remember because they've been calling it equal. And what does that mean? As we've figured out, as we have logically deduced, there's no equality. So men have been subject to women as far as I can remember. Definitely way before this historic moment at St. Paul. You follow me here a little bit? And so when we think about how long it's been equal for me and how long it's been equal for, I guess, others, maybe even longer, I come to think of the home, the American household, Dang, I bet you that's been quote unquote equal for a while. I bet you it's been the man subject to the woman. It's the only way that this all happens. Okay, so maybe you think, Nick, all right, I heard you. I hear all this. And that may be true, okay, and you're showing me some evidence and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? But you know what, Nick? You're wrong. At the end of the day, women still don't lead. They don't lead. They're not in government. They don't lead the companies, etc. And you know what? It's time to give them a shot. Maybe you still see it that way. I don't know really what to tell you. I'm not really in the business of convincing like that with stats and all that. And I was like talking about them because it kind of sometimes proves my point in some places. But I'm not really in that business, okay? I'll send you to Jesse. And figure out your own life and anger and forgiveness. And you'll see that. You will see everything I'm talking about. You'll see everything I'm talking about. But men definitely relate when we talk about doubt, fear, and being subject to women. Maybe that's for you, some men, a little thread that you could pull on to maybe discover this. But we do have stats. We do have kind of things falling apart, at least in terms of this moving away from reality, merit, to ego. I mean, I remember Bill putting this pretty nicely on my show some time ago. How it's like the whole world really is about just fake things. He put it in a nice way. It's like stuff we know about ego and all that, but he put that in a smart way that made sense to my viewers. But I forget how he put it at this moment. But basically, the world is really about ego and not about anything real. So nothing's going to get fixed. So there won't be any real changes until planes start falling out of the sky. That's pretty much where the world's going. That's pretty much what nobody there to stop it. The airlines have been subject to some news lately. You heard about this door plug that fell off of this Alaska Airlines flight. There's some interesting details here. I want to get into it. Matthew, thank you for the super chat. Says, Nick always says something by showing you and letting you sit on it. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. Someone gets me. Kaya, what's up, Kaya? Thank you for that. Says, hey, Nick, thank you for keeping the content fresh and based. I wish you well. I wish you well, Kaya. Always a pleasure. Jose, thank you for the super chat there, sir. And Frederick says, shout out to the American Anchor, baby. Coming in strong with the generous super chat. Thank you, sir. It was an honor to meet. And I mean this, I don't mean this. We laugh and have fun, but it was an honor to meet the Pharaoh and the little Pharaoh on Sunday. I'm glad I didn't miss that. I missed that before I left on my trip. I was remiss, as they say. Okay. Airlines, you know about this. Been a bit of a subject here. You've seen this on, I think, the Hake Report. This door plug that came off of this flight, Alaska Airlines flight here. What a mess. Imagine being in this one. You know, Jesse was remarking, he's wondering how everybody didn't just fly out of this thing. And I'm wondering, I'd seen the movies. I kind of thought similar things. My mind went to the seatbelts. Maybe everyone had their seatbelts on. And, anybody ever go on a plane, you put on the seatbelt, you have that thought. I bet you everyone's had this thought. Yeah, but whatever. What's this seatbelt going to do right now, huh? What's this, flight attendant, huh? What's this seatbelt going to do right now? I'm just going to take it off in a second once we go up in the air. Well, folks, I think you might want to keep your seatbelts on. And nice and tight, too. Because they might have been what saved some people here. They were freezing cold, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, it's cold up there. That's why you can't, as far as I know, that's why you can't have like pets in the undercarriage. If the flight is going to be at a certain altitude, it'll die in the cold. That's why you can't stow away, or at least it used to be this way. You couldn't stow away in the cargo hold of a plane. You'll get to your destination frozen to death. I could be wrong. I've heard of heated cargos. I know that's a thing. But yeah, this is a wild video, huh? They got the masks coming down. Put them on. They're on a 737-8 MAX. I think we might have to fly one this Friday. Is it time to fly the 730? Or is it? No, we should wait till we have more viewers on Friday. 737 MAX passengers. How many passengers? Passenger capacity in a Boeing 737 MAX. About 138 to 204 seats. Hey, I'm not tooting my... look, I'm going to bring it this year. We got more stuff for you on Nick Stream and everything. Some great things, but I think we kind of reach sometimes over there that kind of passenger capacity. I think we could fly a 737 MAX. This view reminds me of Nick Stream. But anyways, I'll just finish off this video. Crazy stuff, right? Hole in the plane. 20 minutes into their flight, you know they were on their way up. It's a mess. I mean. And they say it was a brand new plane. They're saying it's an aircraft that came off the line 2 months ago. And this was all questions before the world learned that it was actually a door plug. People thought a piece of the fuselage just fell off. The Federal Aviation Administration grounded about 171 Boeing 737 MAX planes. And it's got Boeing under the microscope again, they say. The company was under intense scrutiny after its planes crashed in 2018 and 2019, killing more than 340 people. Massive. Now the FAA ordered immediate inspections of all 737 MAX planes used by the U.S. Airlines. Meanwhile, 23,000 passengers are stranded. Flights are canceled. Turns out it was a door plug. Officials are investigating what led to the incident of the Alaska Airlines flight. They said Portland's school teacher found a missing key component of the door. It was actually the plug itself. As new details emerge of the whole thing, this plug fell off. It was, according to a certain post, untightened bolts. It's a scandal. It's a true scandal. I think what's more scandalous? What's more scandalous? The tunnels? What's more scandalous? The Jewish tunnels or the 737 door plug? I mean, I think it's the door plug, folks. Not trying to counter-signal. I know the people, the conspiracy there. I know I gave them ammo. They're like, Nick, trying to counter-signal. Just what came to mind. Giving people ammo here. What was I going to show you? The door plug. Okay, no, not yet. DEI, diversity. I got links. I got a whole bunch of links for you here. I just really want to tell you about this plane door plug fiasco. Oh, man. So here's what's awesome. What came out after, not awesome, but what came out after this door plug, the information, I believe someone's phone was found. Someone's phone that fell out of this unplugged fuselage. A certain conservative influencer, here Revolver reports Ashley St. Clair claiming that she has an insider source who is anonymous, but she claims she had an insider source telling her some information, which led her to tweet at United with some questions. And now, should these questions be answered, the scandal is, it would be truly scandalous. More than it is. She asks, who was flying that aircraft on July 29th? Oh, sorry. She says, on July 29th, the United plane was nearly totaled after a hard landing. She asks, who was flying that aircraft? Was the co-pilot a former flight attendant who was fired and then rehired through United's diversity DEI program, despite being on a list to not return? Am I correct that this individual failed multiple trainings? Am I also correct that United has covered up this disaster and others? Was the number 2 at the Denver hiring center onboarded through DEI? Did she or did she not change fail grades of DEI hires because it makes the numbers look bad? Did the instructor who failed this co-pilot ask corporate why they passed him? These are questions from Ashley St. Clair to United on a completely unrelated flight, obviously. The first one was Alaska Airlines. But it speaks to a culture and a concerted effort, really, to bring the diverse and not the qualified. Okay? That's clear to us, right? That's clear? And so that's amazing. You know, it makes me think a little bit about the world and everything we see and the theories people have and two words come to mind: incompetence or conspiracy. And trust me, I truly believe there's a fair share of conspiracies. And what I mean by that is people colluding and conspiring to do something, usually clandestine, usually sneaky in nature, usually maybe illegal. Okay, that's happening. But all of this is happening too. Plenty of it. Incompetence, where it looks like conspiracy. Just pure incompetence. The Roman aqueducts makes me think of the aqueducts of Rome and how the people forgot how to maintain them. We will lose these old, wrinkled people that, you know, people have their problems, criticisms of the boomers. I think Hake laid that one to rest with the I love boomers, the perfect response to the hate of boomers. Sometimes fair criticism, but look, this is what saying goodbye to the old wrinkly people that you want to replace with the 40-year-old women. This is what it kind of starts looking like. You got to wonder, how come the people after these older people aren't prepared? That's a fine question. You'd think, well, did the old guard not prepare the incoming? Probably not. But yeah, it's probably plenty of incompetence over conspiracy here. Let me just run through these links really fast, and then we could take calls and all that. Every airline has an informal pilot assignment program that makes sure their unfireable DEI problem children are always paired with adult supervision, according to a insider DMing Scott Adams, an insider in the airlines. Can't confirm, but these programs are maintained by aging boomers who are immune to the Kool-Aid. As these guys retire and their numbers drop too low to stop the true blue DEI believers, every flight will be a roll of the dice, and eventually there will be one with the 2 defective DEI pilots in the cockpit. Pray for the people on that flight. They're going to need it. Wow. Yeah, you know, I said this before my trip, and I was like, whatever. I'll just take one more trip. I'll take one more plane ride. Okay, 2 more plane rides. Mexico and back. I mean, I was really rolling the dice, folks. I'm honestly at this point where I don't really want to be on a plane. Until the, you know what's coming, right? The first one that falls. Maybe I'm being dramatic a little bit, you know. Boeing apparently had some pretty serious accidents 2018 and 2019. But look, once they start falling out of the skies, when they'll really paying attention here. Anyways, let me just move through this story a little quicker. Let me move through here a little quicker, huh? Then there's all sorts of posts coming out. United Corporate's diversity report. They exceeded their quota of 50%. Fully 80% of the new class of pilots graduated as one of these DEI graduates. This is straight from the United Aviation Academy. I mean, what more can I show you? One more. Let me just click all these links. See what I got. You guys get it. You guys get it. It's diverse. It's diverse. You guys get it. So I guess some of the point here to answer a little bit of what I was saying before is like, do we have to wait till women are in charge? Maybe we're wrong. Maybe it is the ladies' turn. Maybe it is the minority, the less thought of turn to lead and fly the cockpit of a 737. But we're seeing that these people, before any like massive accidents happen, they are less qualified by definition, lower IQs in their tests, according to, and wokeness, using a report here from, where'd it go? And wokeness, okay? Can't confirm it, sorry. But they're just simply less qualified. End of the all-male white cockpit. Anyways, folks, that's it with that, I think. It's a true mess. 888-775-3773. I am taking calls, and I do have one call here. I got Vlad out of Russia. Thank you for your call, sir.
Hello, Nick.
Hello. Is this the alpha male in the chat, the one and only?
Yeah, of course. It's me.
Right on, Vlad. It's a pleasure. Thank you for your call.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for me to talk to you in personal. So, have you heard what I was talking today with JC about, that communism?
In fact, I did catch it. Was some parts I didn't catch, but I caught some of that conversation with where you basically you were telling us you agreed with everything except for one little thing, and that's I guess communism a little bit.
Yeah, and further I tried to understand Jesse and try to explain my point. So my question to you is, what do you think about communism and socialism and etc.? Is it evil for you or no?
You said trivial?
Evil. Evil. Yes.
Honestly, I want to be clear. Just to answer your question first, I guess, without filibustering. Yes, I'll say yes. But tell me if I'm wrong, because maybe I'm using words incorrectly or misunderstanding something here. But this is my understanding, okay? And this is also coming a little bit from your conversation with Jesse. In my mind, this is how I kind of view communism and socialism. I have like two kind of different views of it. In one sense, communism and socialism for me refers to the ideology of Lenin continuing. And I forget who came first, Marx or Lenin, but those people, their ideologies, which which even Lenin himself said, right? Socialism is a vehicle to communism. I see for me that's one that has one place in my mind as one thing, and then I'll have another distinction, and tell me if I'm wrong here, that this other distinction is how people in different countries view these words. And in America, and it sounds like maybe even in Russia, there are people who view communism and socialism not exactly like how Lenin and Marx viewed it, but simply it's kind of more nationalistic. It's more about it's more about just policies and economic policies to improve your national the population of your nation through government programs, as it may be. But is that what do you think about that?
Nick, firstly, I would like to remind one thing that I really like to hear from JC and from 𝒔𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, that any opinion, any idea that we have is we should not have any opinion, basically, because this is all thoughts, all lies, all the times about everything. You know this, yeah? And when Jesse talks about racism, all this stuff, yeah, including Nazism, he says that it doesn't exist. But what about communism and socialism? He says that this is evil, while capitalism is a good thing. I don't share this point, and I basically believe that it's all the same. Capitalism, socialism, it's just different point of view the world, yeah, for each nation. And for China, it's better to live that way because it's their mental programming code, you know. They build the very large economical society, and they are happy there. They are not complaining about the living status and etc. They are just fine. What about Russia? We have a lot of complaints, but these people, like the blacks in there in USA, yeah, they are just driven by the anger. They cannot see the full picture of what is happening. And we live all in the same world, but all these terms are not even exist. This is how I see, yeah. And actually, it's my opinion is based on what I heard from GLP, and what he's saying, that we should not have opinion, we should not make thoughts to be, our guidelines. So I think that you are wrong. JC is actually too much patriotic, and that is wrong also. So I see it like that. But what about communism and socialism? I know for sure that this is not what do you think, because our image of these terms was built by the TV, by propaganda, by the theories of our political leaders. They want us to think that way. That's why we, yeah.
May I jump in? I mean, some of this propaganda too that you're talking about, although I see where you're coming from, and I think that's true what you're saying, you got to understand that some of this propaganda and stuff is kind of based in a little bit of historical fact and truth. And here's what I mean. Let me first ask you, though. Russia, in your opinion, you'd say, and I'm asking you because I honestly don't know, so Russia's a communist country? Socialist country, gotcha. Okay. Is the socialism of Russia really the same as the communism and socialism of Lenin and Marx?
No.
No, it's quite different, in fact. Don't you think? It's kind of more American in its economic... China, too. When we think about Chinese communism in today's day and age, it's not really the Lenin, Marxist communism and socialism. It's really more closer to what people, they used to call this, economists and people, smart people in the 2010s were calling it what were they calling it? They were calling it the Beijing mentality or something like that. And that the government and industries are ordered in a socialist way, but yet it also has taken a lot of it's like cherry picked a lot of things of the American economic way of building itself. And that's why they've also, in my opinion, have enjoyed an industrial kind of boom in the modern world here, where they're really truly competing with America. Do you see what I'm saying here? So the socialism and stuff that we're talking about in China and Russia, they're really quite different from Lenin and all that. So when we're talking about in those terms, it becomes quite clear to me that a lot of people are just using terms they don't really quite understand, and propaganda, like you're saying. That being said, though, that propaganda you're talking about, I think it is based in a little bit of truth. Communism it's one of its central tenets is to destroy the family, the family unit, the nuclear family. The whole point being to usurp the man in the home and to elevate the woman. They wanted women to work. They needed women to work in Marxist communist agenda, because it would take away the power from the man. He was quite clear about that. It's an ideology of take from others what you haven't earned.
No.
I'm not saying Russia today is that, but that's what people mean when they're talking about communism and socialism. I mean, in many ways, America is socialist like China today. In some ways, I wish maybe in other ways it might be a little tougher. But am I making some sense here? What do you think about what I've said?
Nick, honestly, I hear this idea for the first time. I know for the fact that my grandfather, they lived in the USSR, and they lived in that communism, for natural communism, yeah? And they were so
Sorry, you said natural communism?
Yes, in the beginning of that communism.
So when you say natural communism, you mean the beginning of communism in Soviet Russia?
Yeah, Soviet Union.
I'm following. Go on.
Soviet Union. Yeah. So, and they always told me that was the great time of our nation, because we had all in the common. So that was the living apartments and etc. So, I mean that they were happy in that old days, and that was good old days for them, comparing with today. So, and that what you said about women, that communism gave them power, I hear this for the first time.
Oh.
I didn't hear that from them. Yeah,
my bad. I was quoting Marx. I was just quoting his own manifesto.
Yeah, that's the problem. I see that there's a big problem, that we are divided by propaganda, and we cannot even. We just believe in these ideas that we should not have opinion about.
I'm following you, Vlad. Can I comment on this?
Yeah, of course.
It's one thing that you show me an individual Russian in the time of Soviet Russia who believes in the strength of the family and all that and benefited from communism. It's one thing to show me that. And it's another thing to speak about the fathers of this ideology who, it's not propaganda, they had power in Russia. They took power, Lenin and his people, and they had a lot of influence. So you see what I'm saying here? It's one thing to show me, you said your grandparents,
yeah,
and tell me about their lives and them enjoying it and all that. And it's another then to I guess have a debate, I guess academic or empty or whatever you want to call it, about communism and the ideologies espoused by the fathers of it in this specific scenario. So you see, they're kind of a little different, because I'm not doubting that was the life your grandparents lived, but they're kind of two different topics. They're two different things we're talking about here.
Yeah, probably, but where are they now? As Jesse says, yeah, I rest my case. So
they're living on in the spirits of the angry Americans who want to take from others. They live in the hearts of Americans who are angry and blame others for their problems. Yeah. They live in the hearts and minds of Americans who believe they've had a bad lot in life and someone else is the problem. So it was someone else's fault and they got to revolutionize to make it right and all that crap. So I'm really talking. Yeah, so when people talk about communism, they're talking about that.
Yeah, it's just the thought, and I don't think that we should have even topic in that, because we don't have that communism and socialism. What are we talking about now anymore? It's not exist in the world.
That's a fair point. Am I cutting you off? Please go on.
Yeah, that's all. That's all what I wanted to say.
I totally understand your point, man. I kind of see it the same way in terms of when we get away from the ideologies of Lenin and Marx, when we're just talking about, I guess all I'm trying to say is that a lot of people call things socialism, just kind of a blanket term, and they'll demonize something like let's say, for example, let's say I were to propose tomorrow, the government should use tax money to incentivize having babies, and for everyone who has a baby, they'll get paid money. Some people, some probably even conservatives, will say, no, that's socialism. And so I think that's silly. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a little silly. You're just using words. You're not having a quite understanding. But I'm sorry. The ideologies of Lenin and Marx and blaming and hate and victimhood, which I see as all the same, are evil. So I understand where you're coming from. It's like capitalism. Yeah. Capitalism has its evil too. It's just an economic system. Capitalism without Christianity is lost. It's immoral. You have companies taking advantage of the people, just all for profit. Like, that's true as well. So, anyways, a huge ramble there, but hopefully you understood what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, thank you for accept my call.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, I think you have very good personalities for the shows and for everything.
Thank you, sir.
Alpha male. Yeah.
I appreciate that, Vlad. I see your support, so appreciate that. Hey, man, call me again.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Take care, sir. So am I making some sense here? Zorak says nailed it. I mean, hopefully he's talking about my take. But yeah. Communism. El comunismo. Il duce. Fascismo. You seen those Italian fascists? But anything else about that? Anyways. Hate, blaming, victimhood. Where were we? Shall we take another call? Why not? Justin out of Fullerton, California. Thank you for your call. You're on the air.
Oh, hey, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Happy New Year, sir. Welcome. Thank you for that.
Happy New Year's. I was thinking about your topic and then also the header for the title of the show today, and I kind of it's hard sometimes to extrapolate thoughts, but I know you're really well at surmising it. I see maybe this is like fatherly advice you never got, maybe you got it, or others. Okay, people who are wondering about the difference or disrespect even between the men and the women, the chasm between us, it's where a man, in my belief, goes to a woman for answers and solutions. When he does that, she sees him as a boy, not a man, and therefore we're conditioned as boys to look to mom for answers. We're programmed that way. But at some point, you become a man. You have to. If there's something you can solve and you don't, and a woman has to for you, then she views you as a boy. So if the fathers of communism now, to talk about Lenin and even Karl Marx, if they responded by centralizing power and selling the proletariats, the farmers, that the bourgeoisie, the rich people, whoever they may be, that they're the problem. They're the reason for your problem, and it ultimately emasculated the people into having one daddy or one central strength power, in their lives, and they would die or they would live at the whim of Joseph Stalin and the measures for food and all that. So with capitalism, like you said, without Christianity, it's nothing. It's true because capitalism and communism in its purest form, Karl Marx said, is one and the same. If you read the book The Capital.
Well, for real.
Yeah,
I heard something like that. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So in conclusion, I think people that are men giving up, if men give up our power, meaning our ability to respond, and we just react. Like, I don't know if you've heard in the news about, a while ago, but a guy who saw some homeless transgender, some guy going in the girl's bathroom after his daughter. He basically stomped his head in and reacted violently instead of just being like, hey, I'm a protector, don't do this, you do this again, I'm going to lay you out. And he goes to jail for 8 years or whatever amount of time, I think.
So wait,
that's reactive.
Gotcha. So just to get it clear, it was a father who saw this man dressed up as a woman going into a bathroom?
At the gas station, yep.
And his daughter or something was in that same bathroom?
Yeah, because he was trying to get in.
Gotcha.
After her. So,
And it got violent.
What was that?
And it got violent.
And then, yes, it got reactive, violent. It didn't become responsible. And that's where men need to, we need to check our ego and regulate our emotion, because without it, the women will take over. I mean, you're living in a society where there is no one that, wants men to help them to do things, because they say it's toxic masculinity. Well, there's a time to respond appropriately, and there's a time to be feminine, and that's where the woman, a true woman in her feminine form, is going to want to have the opposite. Not someone to make her whole, But as a whole female, she's going to want a male who's in his masculine power state, which is responding at the moment needed to. And I'm grateful that, he responded, but he went overboard and reacted to something where I don't think men should react.
Total overreaction. I mean, now this is another way. It's just going to come down on him and his family, and in a certain way on all men. It's you have a kind of responsibility too to the whole country, society. It looks bad on all of us. Not on all of us. We didn't do that, but you see what I'm saying? It just gives people ammo.
Yeah.
There's some wisdom too. Don't give them a reason to criticize you. There's some wisdom there, despite we shouldn't care about what people think. Crazy, man.
Yeah, and I mean, even when men have to be vulnerable, what is it supposed to be like? No, not. I mean, I heard Joel talk about vulnerability with men and women. I think that there is that, with women, they can sit there and just over wine and crackers talk about stuff, and men, we just don't do that. So it's at the same time, men are supposed to be vulnerable in their masculine, in the pure form of who they are, not trying to be anything other than themselves, and say to somebody, hey, I appreciate you in my life. Thank you. You're my buddy. Or you already know that, but it's like... That's
vulnerable? That's being vulnerable?
That can be... Yeah, you can tell your wife or your friend in a vulnerable way how much they're important to you.
Why is that being vulnerable? And how do you do that how do you do that same thing in a non-vulnerable way? What's the difference?
Okay. She knows she loves me, or she knows I love her. I know she loves me, and you just don't say it. But by saying that little thing, it's a very special, good thing, and that's where I think a man can be vulnerable in a sense.
But I'm trying to understand what's the difference. Like, let's say I want to tell my wife, I love you, or I think you're great.
Yeah.
Give me an example of how I do that vulnerably and how I do that with no vulnerability.
It could be something where it's not like women do over crackers, but where as a man would just be, telling her at the moment that he feels something and expresses it with actual words, not just like taking someone for granted. So the moment you're supposed to take someone for what they are when they do something good, or sometimes you acknowledge it, it's on your heart. That's the time to open up.
So the non-vulnerable way is just a side comment. Yeah, you're great. Yeah, you're great. A little brutish, a little whatever, maybe even flippant. And then the vulnerable way is I look her in the eyes and I tell her I feel something, and I'm like, I really care for her.
Yes, case by case. And with men, it can be the same thing.
Ladies in the chat, which one do you want? Which one would you rather receive? Which one would you rather receive, ladies? Right on, Justin.
All right.
Interesting stuff, sir.
We'll have a great rest of your day.
Big
and
time, sir.
Trump 2024, in conclusion, all day, every day.
Let's go. Thank you, sir. Call me again.
All right, bye.
Ladies in the chat, which one would you rather receive? Which one would you rather, the vulnerable? Would you rather from your man them tell you something, what they feel about you, what they think about you? Would you rather it the vulnerable way or with no vulnerable? Rome says beer. That's probably not a response. Probably not a response to me. Anyways, where was we? Where we is? Where we is? What's up, D Live? Thank you so much. Am I getting subscriptions? I'm getting month subscriptions on D Live. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Henry Ford. Thank you, GMD Jim. You know what? You know what that means? I got to stream all month on D Live. I got to show mad love to D Live. Right on. I appreciate that. And even more than a month. D Live forever. Rome do got a point, says Zorek. Dean says neither way. Don't share your feelings, guys. I don't know what do you think? My fave woman response. Yeah, you don't got to do all that. Where was we? Where is we? Ecuador. I think I want to show you about Ecuador. What a mess. You hear about Ecuador? The average, wait, hold on. I had some links I didn't show you. The average IQ of USAF pilots, don't mind me, just Googling four letters, little letters for no reason. Oh, U.S. Air Force, I knew that. Pilots is about 120, and the figures I've seen for major airline pilots range from 115 to 130. By contrast, the mean IQ of grads from two of those United Airline HBCU partners is about 85 to 90. Elon Musk responds, "It will take an airplane crashing and killing hundreds of people for them to change this crazy policy of DIE." Dang. Oh, dang, I found the video. The New York cop in the Jewish tunnels. Oh, man. Here it is. I was trying to show you yesterday. I don't even think it's the full video.
Why? You need to expensive something. You got it, but not like this. Not safe. We don't do that in America.
He's like, we want to for expansion. Yes, for expansions. I think is what the Jewish man says. For expansions, and he's like, he starts laughing like, yeah, not like this, man, not like this. Sorry, bud. Capiche? Capito? Not like this. Let me ask you something real quick. You from Israel, huh? Yeah. We don't do it like this in America. Huh?
We don't do that in America.
Hey, listen here. Boss told me that I could clear this all out by the day. Anyways, just go through links here. Stuff I didn't show you. Trump addressed the problems with the Boeing 737 MAX years ago, but no one would listen. I remember that. Airplanes are becoming far too complex to fly. Pilots are no longer needed, but rather computer scientists from MIT. I see it all the time in many products, always seeking to go one unnecessary step further, when often old and simpler is far better. Split-second decisions are needed, and the complexity creates danger. All of this is for great cost, yet very little gain. I don't know about you, but I don't want Albert Einstein to be my pilot. I want great flying professionals that are allowed to easily and quickly take control of a plane. You're making a lot of sense, Mr. Trump. And, you know, maybe some of us tech people and people who like the internet and people who like stuff might think, well, it'll be great. You'll have self-flying planes, and maybe one day that will be great. You'll have planes that could basically fly themselves. But, I mean, has that ever happened? Has that ever happened in a society where they create amazing, great things, and then they forget how to do those things, and they forget how to maintain those things, and they forget how to be that great? Does that great society then get to enjoy the spoils of what they had? No. I've never seen that. I've never quite seen that. Things just fall into disarray. And your utopia, your autopilot utopia, I don't know if you ever quite reach it. You never quite reach it. What was supposed to be. Thank you, Mr. Trump. We'll see what happens with that investigation, huh? Alaska Airlines and all that. But they're keeping... Anyways, what was I going to show you next? You know, I was going to show you this clip of all these illegals who are at O'Hare Airport in Chicago. I won't show you the clip. We'll just move on. But yeah, they're housing illegals at the O'Hare Airport in Chicago. Little segue, using that as a little segue. They're also housing them in schools. Madison High is temporarily closing in order to provide housing for thousands of illegal aliens. All 2,000 students will now be learning virtually to accommodate the arrivals. Big changes. Madison High School. I guess in James Madison High in Texas. No, sorry. Madison High School students in Brooklyn. Is that correct, CBS? Yes, in Brooklyn. You know, somewhere Eric Adams is blowing a gasket. I flipped on you, Democrats. I said no more illegals. Any Republican governor's going to back him up? Madison High School. They're taking the schools, they're taking the airports, the hospitals, and now they're asking you to actually house them in your homes. They're actually asking you to do that now. Governor Healy asks residents to house migrant families amid growing shelter crisis. It's a shelter crisis. We don't have enough shelters. That's what's going on. We don't have enough shelters. Where did it go? Hold on. Governor Healy house migrants. Governor Healy, Maura Healey, girl power, Massachusetts, governor of Massachusetts, is asking you to do what's right. House migrant families amid growing shelter crisis. I've tried to pull up this same article here. My bad. Hold on. Here it is. Here it is. Found it.
Are reaching capacity, and now the governor's the state's shelters are reaching capacity, and now the governor's asking residents to help by opening their doors. That was part of Governor Maura Healey's announcement, as she's also looking for help from the federal government. Boston 25 News reporter Kelly Sullivan is live at the State House this morning, where the governor called this a crisis situation. Kelly.
Yeah, that's right, Ray. And so the governor said that there's anywhere between 10 to 30 migrant families coming into Massachusetts a day. And there's about 40 hotels across the state that are helping to house the migrant families. So now the governor is asking help not only from the federal government, but also from you. Governor Maura Healey said yesterday that close to 5,600 families are currently housed in the state's emergency shelter system. That number is 80% higher than 1 year ago. Massachusetts is the only state in the country with a right to shelter law, which guarantees homeless families access to emergency shelter. She says,
you hear that, homeless? Time to leave this area around us and go inflict the pain and trauma. So what else? Although it's probably pretty cozy here in California for the homeless. Massachusetts
has been spending around $45 million a month to help assist these families. Now, the situation is so bad, the Healey administration is now asking people to open their homes and businesses to help people in need.
If you have an extra room or suite in your home, please consider hosting a family.
No way.
Safe housing and shelter is our most pressing need. Become a sponsor family.
You could just do that? Like, you could, call up the government? Are you going to give me something for it? Please, please, please do this. So what's the process here? Do you just pick them up off the street? Hey, my governor asked me. Excuse me, sir. Habla español. My governor has asked me, me llamo Nick, to help out. You can come to my home, my casa. Just imagining some woman. You can come to my home, my casa, and I'll house you. Now, I don't know what's the process. Do they have an onboarding process here where you can meet them? Any government oversight to this? Or are you just telling them to just pick them off the streets and put them in your house? What's going on here? Amazing times.
Governor Healey is hoping the emergency declaration will provide more federal funding and expedite work permits for immigrants. New York State has also declared a state of emergency, as well as the cities of Chicago, El Paso, and Washington, D.C. So the governor's administration also announced yesterday that it has created a migrant families relief fund, and so that is a coordinated effort with the local United Way to help raise private donations. For now, reporting live from the State House, Kelly Sullivan for your...
Dang, I don't know what to tell you. Look, demographic map, 2016. I mean, this is just for the people who want to argue. Again, you just got to see it, I guess. The order of man, woman. Because I guess you can't really convince people. But I mean, how about this? How about this? Remember those 2016 voting maps? You remember this? When you see those open borders, when you see the whole mess with that, who is it that supports it? Emotional people, women. Do you remember these maps? How the electoral map would look if only blank voted. If it was only people of color. All 538 electoral votes would have gone to Hillary Clinton. If it was only women, 481 of all electoral votes would have gone to Hillary Clinton. I mean, these are just kind of like metrics we could use to maybe discover something might be wrong. And then you got to go all the way with spiritual and, the order of God, I guess. That would be the nail that would lay it to rest. But for some people, they're still kind of here. These are kind of just signs that something's wrong there, okay? Because what does it mean? If they went blue, that means Hillary Clinton. Some of these things are still simple. I know things are complicated, but some things are still simple. If they went all blue, it would have been women. It would have been Hillary Clinton, which is what? The party, at least back then, now we know it's both sides. They want both open borders, but they're the ones who openly say this. They say that's their plan and that's their motivation, that all people are people. These people have kids too, like Nikki Haley said recently. Okay, these people who are coming here, they just want a better life and they have kids too. And anyways, thank you, Matthew, for the super chat. Appreciate that. Says, start watching stealth camping videos like Small Pilots. Good tips on being homeless on the DL. Hey, right on. I kind of like repositories of info that are like that. Strange fringe living and skills. Very cool. I'll check it out, Matthew. Right on. Lord, Nick always brings it back to electing Trump. Doesn't this tell you more than just electing Trump, Kevin Howe? This is such an insightful thing. This has to do with way more than electing Trump in the 2016 election and Hillary Clinton. This image, which has been verified by patriots, okay, is so insightful. Don't you agree, Kevin Howe? Isn't this so interesting? If only men voted. If only white women voted, it'd still be red, pretty Republican, pretty blue. If only white people voted, they'd still maintain their, as much as we talk crap about the Republicans. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm done. I'm with Jesse. I'm done with the Republicans. They're the same as the Democrats. They're pushing women. They're pushing all this crap. That being said, in the minds, not everyone is in the country is as based and as nuanced and as in the know of so many things like us. Most people are quite simple, especially in 2016. They were still, left and right and red and blue and Christian and Democrat and right? So when we look at these maps, we're talking about the general populace. So it's pretty, come on, Kevin Howe, it's kind of an interesting image. Pretty interesting. College-educated whites, non-college-educated whites, white men. If it was white people, men or otherwise, it's Trump all the way. If it's women and people of color, and then that, I remember they showed other ones, yeah, it all changes up. Anyways. No, don't call him that. I like Kevin Howe. We love Kevin, right? Shall we just do something exciting, something thrilling? Wake up. You fell asleep? Thrilling videos Amazing stuff. Oh, wait, no sound. No sound on this one. Ecuador. These are scenes out of Ecuador. You are seeing scenes of an Ecuadorian highway of some sorts. Okay? Scenes. The situation is in Ecuador is a vision of the near future of parts of the USA if things go badly south, which they absolutely could. The cartels are extremely well armed, well organized, and stocked with men with military and police experience. This is from Reuters. Ecuadorian television station is taken hostage by armed thugs during a live broadcast. Let's watch this beautiful footage. Wild. The staff was told to lie down on the ground as gunshots could be heard in the background. Incident comes as gangs continue to take over the streets in Ecuador. What is going on in Ecuador? What's going on here? That's guns. Them's guns. It's like, please, please. Get on the ground, bro. Whoa, that's a shotgun right to that guy's neck. And that guy's not really practicing good trigger discipline. Is he just itching? Is he just like, his finger's like in there, right? And that shotgun's up to that guy's neck. Just tickling the trigger, okay? That's that terrorist tickle. We got a revolver going on here. Looking like an old revolver. Reliable. Dile que tenemos bomba. Dile que tenemos bomba. They got bombs, apparently. There's a grenade in that guy's hand. Dile que tenemos bomba. Tommy jeans. Tommy Hilfiger. He put something in his pocket. Please, please. I mean, okay, so that's another piece of footage there. What's going on in Ecuador? It's kind of a mess right now. Two men dressed up as Batman and Joker in the midst of Ecuador's civil war. Wait, there's a civil war? What's going on here?
Señor José Delgado, tanto tiempo sin verlo. ¿Se acuerda de mí? ¿O no se acuerda?
He said, you remember me? Or do you not remember?
Aquí he venido con un Batman de pacotilla. Porque el verdadero héroe es uno mismo.
The real hero is oneself, and he cackles. What? We have been abandoned. What's he saying? And our city is returning, and he says the name of is that a name of a Ecuadorian city? Let's do a little research. Guayaquil, city of Ecuador. So yeah, he's saying, and then we'll return to Guayaquil. And he said that in an interesting way. Maybe he's trying to emphasize kill. Is that a little bit of English? A little bit of double language humor? I don't know. I'm just kind of reacting as I heard. He's saying, and then we'll return to Guayaquil. And he said that in an interesting way, pausing between Guaya and Quil. So yeah, Ecuador. Got him! Nice Joker, man. Got him. Freaked out the reporter there. He's method acting. Right on, sir. Someone get him for the next movie. For in Spanish or something. How Ecuador's 36-year-old leather jacket wearing president took on the drug cartels and lost, according to the Telegraph. They're already saying he lost. So here's the story, basically. I mean, this is just a headline from the Telegraph. When Daniel Noboa came to power last November at the age of just 35, he pledged to break up the powerful drug cartels that have slowly come to dominate Ecuador. His Phoenix security strategy included plans to enhance intelligence services. It all unraveled spectacularly in a matter of hours. Amid the extreme violence that followed one of the country's most wanted gang leaders escaping jail. Blah, blah, blah. You declared war, you'll get a war. One of the captured officers was forced to recite at gunpoint in a video posted on social media. You declared a state of emergency. We declare police, civilians, and soldiers to be the targets of war. Wow. This all took place in Guayaquil, a port city that has become the epicenter of the war between increasingly powerful gangs. The city is prized turf for drug traffickers, seeking to guarantee cocaine pipelines. Local gangs have previously told the Telegraph they received frequent payments of weapons from Mexican cartels, etc. And so they declared war, these gangs. First, the president said, we're going to clean things up, and they said, no, you're not. And that's basically what happened. This image started getting disseminated in social media networks over there in Ecuador. And it's like gangs. I don't know if you call them a cartel over there, but they call themselves Los Tigreros or something like the Tigers. And it was a pretty ominous letter when you read it. It's in Spanish, but it's basically a warning and it lists a whole bunch of cities and towns or something like that. And it says, we're coming to these towns and cities. We're going to take over the hospitals, the schools, the places of government. And that's what they're doing. They're going into news stations, apparently. You know, this all is in stark contrast to what Bukele is doing in El Salvador. You may have heard of Nayib Bukele, who it's shocked some people in the world. His campaign, shock and awe against the cartels of El Salvador, or gangs, or whatever you call them, and has basically, they've increased their prison population by like something crazy, like 65,000. They've reduced homicides by something crazy, like 92% last I read somewhere. And so it kind of comes in contrast to what's going on over there. Sounds like the gangs got wise and basically we're about to go down without a fight. And the soldiers have, apparently these people are saying, declare police, civilians, and soldiers to be targets of war. These countries down there just seem to be constantly at a grip of violence. It's hard to say what's going on down there. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Definitely economic problems. Corruption, socialism. It makes me think of Javier Milei in Argentina, wanting to root out all this corruption. I'm sure that's one thing, but where does it all start, right? Immorality. I mean, these people, South America, in my opinion, they took Christianity and they did something strange with it. They did something strange with all that stuff. But I don't even know what I was saying. Anyways, it's a mess. I have no idea what Nick's saying. Yeah, at this point, me neither. I'm just telling you about Ecuador. Got it crazy. Do you not know what I'm saying about the Christianity in South America? I'm telling you, man, they turned it into some weird death stuff. Anyways. What are y'all saying in the chat? Don't gloat like that, Frederick. What? Have some love for your fellow people in the chat, your fellow conservatives and people who are supporters of Trump. Frederick is gloating. He says, that's right, Dean. Get your Bic ready to write him in. Are you talking about writing Trump into the ballot? Are you gloating that they're trying to remove him from the ballot? That's not very freedom of you. That's not very freedom and loving. That doesn't sound very freedom of you, Frederick. Come on. Anyways. What shall we do today? What shall we do today? Bic pen, not a lighter. Yeah, right. Bics are pens, right? Big pen. That's pretty much it on that. I believe. 888-775-3773. I hope to have what should we call it? He's calling it a debate. I'm not saying a debate, but there's someone who wants to come on the show and talk about race mixing. So hopefully we'll do that this week. Race mixing. Let me see if I can think of an example. Let me think of an example that I could pose, a question I could pose to the chat. Forget it. We'll leave it. Hopefully this week. Equator. Ecuador means equator. Oh, I haven't checked that. Hey, James. Let me just check something here. But yeah, you can buy me a coffee. In fact, I have 2 coffees already. Look at that. No way. You can buy me a coffee. Did you know Anchor Baby coffee money goes to Nick without YouTube taking an alleged 30%? buymeacoffee.com/Anchor Baby. Thank you. Appreciate that. I already got some coffees here. You can support me that way. It's one way to support me. I got Hake bought a coffee. Thank you, man. It says, great thing on coffees. A, YouTube doesn't take 30%. B, they can come in overnight before or after the live stream. C, Nico's coffees are $5 a pop. Oh, dang. Can I change that? Should I change that? Am I the only one with $5 a pop for coffees? And D, Stripe pays out daily. Baller. E. And F. But keep YouTube monetization as it takes the chat. It makes the chat funner, and YouTube supers are convenient for supporters. I'll definitely keep the YouTube super chats. I'll play ball YouTube as long as you allow me a larger reach on your platform. Up to a point, YouTube. I'll follow the rules. Anything else, I'll put it exclusive on Rumble or something. Thank you, YouTube. And I got Renesio who's also bought a coffee. Thank you for that. Says, first coffee? Sorry, man. I think that goes to Hake. Hake might have the first coffee. Frederick asks, who can be against race mixing? Well, I wouldn't say I'm against it, but it's an interesting topic about, I've heard Jesse say it, or Charleston White say, I used to bring all kinds of women home, and they were outside of my race. And my mama asked me one day, you must hate your mother. You must hate your mama. It's just an interesting thing. I was trying to think of an example of what would be a difficult one for you guys to tell me if it's race mixing or not. Because, for example, in Colombia, there are different Colombians. There are the people from the coast who are darker and they have this Arabic black influence. Then there are the people inland, paisas, bayunos. They're whiter. I was asking people from Colombia interesting questions about it. Some see a mixture between a Barranquillero, these coastal people who are darker, and mixing with a paisa. They would see that as race mixing, despite both being Colombian, because their food is different and their way of speaking is different. But a paisa and a bayuno, although their way of speaking is different, their food is similar enough. So most people don't see that as race mixing. So I'm trying to think of a similar example in America. I mean, blacks and whites, obviously, but something a little bit more difficult. Santino, also. Someone's telling me that someone else super chatted that I may have missed. Santino, we got you, sir. Santino with the super chat asks, should women continue to have the right to vote? I will say, in my perfect world, probably no. I'm going to give you a no. I'm going to give you a no on that. They shouldn't. But that's just something I think shouldn't happen, right? When it comes to reality, I would love that to be a more of a topic of discussion in the mainstream. That would be nice to really discuss what is the role of the women in politics and in the country. I'd love that to be a point of discussion. As in terms of strategy and importance, I don't know if that's something I'd advise a candidate to focus on. I don't know what I'm saying here. It just doesn't seem like step one. I could be wrong. What do you guys think? Because there's a lot of female-minded men today. You know what I mean? I don't know. Actually, I think about those demographic maps I showed you, and actually, once I'm thinking about that map, yeah, I think we could take it away. I think it'll be a net positive. In fact, I think it'll be a net positive should we just snap our fingers, no more female votes tomorrow. Now that I'm really thinking about it, especially when I'm thinking of those maps I showed you, those electoral maps, I think it would be a net positive, actually. I don't think I don't think we lose anything. Except maybe having a civil war or something like that. What a mess. So race is determined by how you wrap your tamales, asks Michael Cooley. Well, what's interesting about your question, Michael, is when I'm talking to some people, they do not divorce culture and race. Some people I was talking to, these Colombians, a Barranquillero is that way because of their Arab African genealogy and lineage, and also because of the way they eat and the way they speak. That they saw that as all the same thing, honestly. Now, I don't know. I just don't know. Because take the anchor baby, for example. I'm sure it's an exception. This is not how most people are. Most people, I bet you it really is that way. But take the anchor baby, for example. What? Puerto Rican / possibly Cuban lineage and Colombian. But, yeah, Americanized in some way. Take that however you will. Just 1 hour to go. Almost home. What are you talking about? Nick rolling his R's makes me uncomfortable. Should I be speaking American? Can you roll your R's, Kevin Howe? Can you do that? Rolling your R's? Should I say it American? Me llamo. Hola, me llamo. Yeah, well, yeah, I think it'll be a net positive. Yeah. allmylinks.com/Jesse Lee Peterson. You guys are confused about any links? Check out the All My Links. It's all there. It's all there. Nice way to have it all. Anyways, should I show you one last thing here? What can I show you here? In the last few minutes of the show? What's left? What can I really show you here? Maybe I can make a sort of point here. After talking about women and everything we've been talking about today, maybe I could sort of make a point. I'm kind of reminded of this video here. This video that was going around, resurfaced footage shows secretaries of states, who all happen to look the same, conspiring together about future elections. Middle-aged, liberal, white women are the biggest threat to democracy in America. This Zoom call took place in October of 2021, included Colorado Secretary of State Jena Griswold, Connecticut Secretary of State Denise Merrill, Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, and Maine Secretary of State Shanna bellows. The women specifically discussed the biggest threats to democracy. Ironically, they themselves were the biggest threats to democracy. It reminds you a little bit of this. And a little point I want to make, maybe I could somewhat make this point. Maybe you'll see what I'm saying. I guess I'll play you some of this footage. But in that, this order, can we call it a female order? Can we call it a liberal order, victim-minded order, female-minded order, satanic order, non-Christian, upside down, or whatever you want to call it, this liberal world order of America, of the modern America, is in many ways, when you really think about it, quite flimsy, okay? It just needs, it only takes a little bit of criticism. It just takes a little bit of sunlight, just speaking frankly about what these people believe. And it kind of becomes a little clear how flimsy it is. It's really just, there's no real, when I'm describing this flimsiness, I come to think, I'm reminded of 2016. And it's like, okay, we were told the female liberal world order, it's just how it is. It's LGBT future. Christians are going to go along with it. Gay is okay, even if you're Republican. Christianity, what's that? And it just seemed like that's just the way it's going to be, because look at all these people getting elected. And if these people are getting elected, well, it goes to show there's a significant majority of these people in the country. But wait a second. The guy who the media said is the worst, is the sexist guy, the misogynist. He hates the Mexicans. That guy won already. A chink in the armor, a crack in the glass, showing us maybe it's all not quite that way. This order that at one point seemed militant and solid is actually a little flimsier than we thought. This video here of these women reminds me of that same notion. It's not this legal, there's no legality behind the taking down Trump in the way they're trying to do it. There's no real evidence and solid constitutional thing. It's women and their feelings. They just feel like democracy is under attack, and they just feel like these men and people like Trump are attacking democracy. That's really what this clip amounts to, if you've ever seen it. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
And Secretary Bellows, would love to hear about your thoughts on the biggest threats facing our democracy at this point in time.
Well, what Secretary Griswold just said and named is something that was unimaginable 2 years ago or 10 years ago, and that is election sabotage. It is a crystal clear
Is it kink in the armor? Did I say chink? I thought it was chink. I sincerely thought it was chink in the armor. I sincerely thought that.
Example of what's happening all across the country. So we need to organize to make sure we have better leaders in positions of power to fight back against that. Secretary Benson talked about voter suppression, and that's something that when we started our careers at the ACLU and Southern Poverty Law Center, fighting back about systematic, structural voter oppression, targeting specifically Black and brown voters. It's rooted in white supremacy. That is something we have to continue to do work on. And Secretary Merrill talked about the For the People Act.
And just another point you're following so far, right? They're just like, it's basically their feelings. It's a democracy under attack. It's just structural racism that doesn't allow voting. In what world? In what world is Black people vote? They just don't want to. Have you seen that video where they have their IDs and people go around asking them, excuse me, do you have your ID? Can you go to a DMV? You know where that is? Have you seen that video? And the Blacks are like, yeah, we know where all that is. Voter ID laws they talk about. But a point I want to make too, remember, this is from 2021. Okay, this is probably not that, it's not that long ago, fair. But just adding to the earlier point I was making, that this is the historic all-female council in St. Paul, first ever. Really, not really. It's kind of been like that for a while. These are female secretaries of state of at least four different states. It's kind of been like that. Don't you agree?
And the Freedom to Vote Act. We must have federal standards all across the country. And then finally, just to echo my colleagues, this is rooted in a deliberate and organized campaign to discourage people from participating in our democracy. It is an attack on our very democracy itself, because when everyone participates, everything that we care about, social justice, climate justice, economic justice, we win.
all these evil things. When everyone participates, when she says that, she means any old person could vote. Very unlike how it used to be. Only people who had men who had skin in the game, had homes and stuff, could vote. An interesting time. She's saying now, if you just get every old woman and minority, all these people, we win. Kind of, for those in the know, proving that these people are evil.
Those on the other side are trying to discourage people from participating. That's what this really is about. We have to fight back to protect our democracy, to protect everything.
Remember, fighting back to protect the democracy amounts to taking Trump out of ballots and all that. So, I mean, it makes me think of this flimsy order. It's actually quite flimsy when you think about it. It's not this solid legal process with it's women and their feelings. It's not and I'm sure there's probably so many things we can connect that to. It's not a solid science and data behind claims of climate and women and transgenderism. It's just academics and bias and misusing so-called facts and all that. Just another example that comes to mind. It's really a flimsy order they've put in place. It just requires a little bit of challenge, a little bit of thought. Anyways, that's just what's been on my mind. I appreciate the calls and the super chats today. We'll do more of it tomorrow. More American Anchor Baby tomorrow, Thursday. And we love Thursday. That's Bible Thumper Thursday. And of course the other shows. Joel Friday, we got the Hake Report and American Anchor Baby at 12 tomorrow noon. That's it from me, folks. I will say adieu. Let me see here. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 coming in strong with the super chat at the last moment says, only Colombians can solve Colombian issues. Right on, 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎. I think I'm following you. Let them figure that out. 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒑, appreciate the super chats and everybody who's supported. I'm saying bye. I'm saying adieu. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye. Chris Pearson, last second coffee. Thank you, Chris Pearson with a coffee. Says, here, Nick, have a coffee. All right, folks, that's it for me. For real this time. Take care.